Welcome back to the Dota Radio Morning Show, presented by Dota Radio, the internet radio dedicated to Dota 2. Make sure you visit us at www.dotaradio.com to learn more about our audio-only style of commentary. Remember, folks, you can tweet at us live during the show at Sayori TV, at HippieCasting, at Monolith Dota, and at the Dota Radio. Any of those will be satisfactory if you want to try to communicate with us live during the show. Twitch chat also works quite nicely. Remember, folks, you can always write into the show, morningshow@dotaradio.com, morningshow@dotaradio.com. Always happy to hear what you guys, see what you guys have to say, as well as check out the portal, dotaradio.com/morningshow. That's where you'll find all of the past episodes archived. And oh boy, have we had some good ones. Cyborg Matt, No Tail, Purian Flax. Today, Bone 7. The list goes on and on and on. It just keeps getting better here at the morning show. We're back with the usual suspects. I'm Sayori, your show host. We've got Hippie on the analysis desk, and Monolith, our master of communications, is here once again. Fellas, what is the good word on this fine Monday morn?
Columbus in 4 days. Yeah. That's all I can think about.
Me too, honestly. That's what first thing I thought about when I woke up today was, I gotta do laundry for Columbus.
Yep. Just Columbus.
Columbus, that's it. That's all that's on the radar.
It's the mini international, man. God, it's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome. And this episode was originally slated to be kind of an MLG Columbus sneak peek, breakdown, exciting. Yeah, we're going to have someone from MLG on. We sort of had this thought that, hey, you know, maybe this week the MLG people will be busy setting up MLG. And that turned out to be true. We reached out, and unfortunately, they're all super, super busy, as they well should be. So that Wednesday episode is going to be a lot more MLG-centric in terms of a little bit of an MLG survival guide. I think we may break down a bit, and some other interesting stuff. Monday episodes on the morning show are always good, because the weekends, a lot of stuff tends to happen. We were a little slow on big news this week, I have to say, fellas. But in opening thoughts here, we do have two. The first important thing was the MLG people are busy. Second big one. This is a new milestone for the morning show. We are officially on the Team Liquid calendar. You go to Team Liquid right now, there's one event live, and that is the Dota Radio Morning Show. So that's awesome. Someone suggested we submit to the TL calendar, and they were all over it. So more power to us, boys. Team Liquid. Woo!
Yeah, fired up. If only we could put that on Join Dota as well. But hey, yes. Thank you, Team Liquid. Appreciate it. You guys rock.
Baby
what a
steps.
Great website. Like,
yes.
Holy crap. Been around forever.
Yes, Team Liquid is old. How old? What is the anniversary of Team Liquid? It's like...
Oh, God, I don't know.
It's
I
like
don't know, man.
Super, super old. And I keep forgetting that battle... Like, I was looking at the Red Bull site. They have an event coming up this weekend the same time as Columbus in New York. It's going to be a big esports weekend across the board.
Who scheduled something to go up against MLG Columbus? That just seems nuts to me.
All the StarCraft people that are upset that MLG is no longer doing StarCraft. Just gonna
oh, you mean so MLG's not following a dead game with a dying community that wasn't as good as its predecessor?
Well, I guess Red Bull doesn't know all that because I don't know. They're still doing it. They're still going for it. So today, though, we're going to start with some talking points, and I had mixed feelings about these talking points. We're going to go with it, so you guys can chime in at any point. They're casual talking points before we get into some of the news and some of the other stuff we're going to talk about. Lots of drama this weekend, more than real awesome news to analyze. And the title of today's talking points are "The Grass is Always Greener." And I think at least some of us can guess about what we're going to talk about. Oh, you're so right. Pat yourself on the back. It's that post that was on the League subreddit talking about how awesome Valve is. There was a leaguer, if you will, praising the amazingness of Valve. Let's take a look at their post here. Talking about how few employees Valve has in comparison to Riot, and how amazing all of the content that Valve has put out over the last year or so. It goes back and cites all of the patches, all the stuff they've put out, the weapons, ward skins, HUD skins, loading screen skins, taunts, couriers, all this good stuff, and then goes to look at what Riot has done in the same time frame. They've put out a couple of heroes, they've reworked a couple of them, and they've put out a whole bunch of skins available for your purchase. And then that individual sort of hints forward as to, what's going to happen when these other casual MOBAs come out? We've got Strife right around the corner. We've got Heroes of the Storm making its first little showing at BlizzCon, and that's about as casual as you can get with MOBAs. It's basically just a 5 versus 5 arena. Who needs to kill creeps? That's so 90s, right? So this is interesting. because on the Dota 2 subreddit, you don't get that same feeling, right? We get this more of a vibe of, oh, Valve, you're so stupid. We want Dire Tide. Valve, please fix this. Valve, you're awful. Valve, it's not very positive. It's usually negativity, and hence the grass is always greener. I liked this comment in particular that I quoted here from this particular Redditor. Valve has released more content updates in Dota 2 in the past 5 months than Riot has in the past 2 years, which is fascinating. I remember having a conversation with one of my my friends that plays League of Legends, for lack of a better vernacular there, on the way to PAX East, sort of arguing about which is better, Riot or Valve, Dota 2 versus League. And of course, Dota 2 side, he was on the League side, and one of the things he cited was like, dude, we get a new hero like every 2 weeks. It's awesome. Look at all this fresh content. And that's true. Riot was doing that very aggressively, putting out new heroes or new champions, I guess I should say, very frequently. The problem is, I don't think that's very sustainable. Also, new skins. We can't forget about new skins. And skins are cool. You know, people like skins, sort of, but just churning out new skins doesn't really count as new content. And you can only put out new heroes so often. It's not really a sustainable model, because eventually, if you put a hero out every 2 weeks, after a year and a half, you're just going to have this giant clusterfuck of champions that all suck, that aren't balanced, that are just sort of mashing buttons against each other. You know, there's that difference between adding new content and then saying, whoa, well, let's pump the brakes. Let's rebalance these bad daddies. You know, is everybody working as intended right now? That should be the top priority. And I think people are finally starting to recognize that, you know, some of the glory to that Riot model that people have been so excited about, again, to cite my good friend Seth King, oh, look at all these new champions, it's awesome. It's not really that awesome. That's like sort of a temporary, like, hey, take this is all we've got. And then once you run out of champions, what do? Their replay system's still on the open beta client. And that got me thinking again, goes back to our classic phrase, the innovation versus operational excellency. That's exactly what Riot's done. They've stopped innovating in terms of new things to put into the game, the coaching feature, as Valve has just done, and instead they focused on how can we streamline these skins? How can we get more skins, more champions in the game, more shit for people to buy? And I think leaguers are finally starting to get a little privy to it. And then that got me further wondering, is the Riot bubble maybe starting to burst a little bit? You know, what's going to happen when we have these other casual MOBAs in the market? Right now, they're sort of a monopoly in that subset of MOBA, right? They are the casual MOBA game compared to Han or Dota 2 or Infinite Crisis or those other up-and-coming MOBAs. Strife and Heroes of the Storm, they're going to change the paradigm, man. They're going to change that status quo. I don't know. I don't think we could say Riot is going to fold up shop or anything like that, but I'll be very curious to see how the influx of new competition into the casual MOBA scene changes the numbers a little bit, changes that status quo. Thoughts, fellas?
I don't think it's going to change too much. I think Riot would have to royally fuck up to lose the hold that they have right now. I mean, despite, you know, all the things that they aren't doing right or the community complains about, they're still huge. They still do many things right. I mean, it's like when Dire Tide fucks up or whatever, and the community like makes a shitstorm over it, and everyone forgets how Valve, like everything that Valve does. I think this is pretty similar.
Okay.
With Riot, I mean, they still do. I mean, they still put on LCS, which like is, you know, a dream for any professional. It's right. They're still sponsored by MasterCard, by Plantronics, by like you know, some ridiculous sponsors out there, and they're pushing. You know, they're really they're pushing the boundaries of esports there. So it's different.
So you could just sum that up with just a big fat no.
Yes.
Apologize
no.
and delete your lies.
Yes. Fuck Dire Tide.
Yes. I mean, and I wasn't referring as much to like the, you know, the black and white of Riot's big, Riot's going to be small, as much as just a shift in the fanboyism. You know, for a long time, the fans of Riot, particularly League of Legends, have just been so, what's the right word? Just so intense, so enthralled by everything Riot. I love Riot. Riot is my hero. I wish Riot could be my parents kind of a mentality. And I think there's finally a shift from that, like, okay, I get it. Yeah, they're cool, they're a good company, they made a fun game, but They're not the end-all be-all. They're not the most amazing giving company in the world. They're just like any other regular old company. Number one priority, increasing shareholder wealth. That is the number one priority of all companies, folks. Money, not your fun. And I think that's the shift that I'm talking about. But I don't know. Chris, what do you think?
I agree with Charlie. I don't think anything significant is going to eat away at Riot's player base. I think League of Legends has... maybe they're going to have to change how they operate a little bit, but I think people will have more faith in a game that they've played for a while and still really enjoy than a new, couple of casual MOBAs. I mean, Strife is coming from a company that they've been moderately successful, but not hugely. Heroes of New Earth definitely had its upsides, but it seriously had some problems as well. I think we can agree on that. And then, so I assume Strife will be the same way. I think they'll hit some things, really kind of hit the nail on the head, and they'll do really well. But then there might be some issues.
Yeah.
And then Heroes of the Storm is for people who really, really like Blizzard lore. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty excited at the chance to have Kassadar, Zeratul, and Illidan all on the same team. Like that's just for me. They know how to pull me in, but at the same time, it's never gonna have the depth Dota does, so it won't keep pulling me in. I'll play it maybe a couple weeks, get bored, and leave.
Yeah, no, you're right. So I don't know, maybe just a case of Zyori reading into things too much, as I tend to do. But it was just interesting to see someone sort of just from a different light be like, wow, look at all this amazing stuff. All we're getting are skins, and they have weapons. They've got cool armor sets. Now you can craft things. Oh man, I got jelly belly. But all right, fair enough. Let's move forward here. We've got some other good stuff to talk about. Before we bring on Bone 7, he's going to be coming on for the second portion of this episode, and we're going to have a lot of one-on-one intimate time with him. So we're going to plow through these next few points here. They're more news updates than big talking points. The Big Point Battle number 10, Pro-Am, is underway. It started yesterday. This is one of those cool tournaments, 8 teams invited, and then there's a 512-team open bracket that you can fight your way through for a chance to play against the big boys. Pretty exciting. I wanted to give it a little bit of love just because I like the Pro-Am model. I like anything where big teams come and then there's a chance for one of those unknown community teams to make it in there. It might not be a totally unknown team, but still exciting. I like any kind of format that gives the opportunity for a new team to break through. I did not catch any of the premiere of the Big Point Battle yesterday, but I think it will continue on today. I think the open tournament is going on for the next couple days at least until they sort through it. A 500-team bracket takes a while to get through. So, pretty exciting. Do either of you have any opinions about the Big Point Battle? I like the name, too. The Big Point Battle.
I think it's Big Point Battle because it's sponsored by BigPoint.com.
Yeah,
but
it's a good name. Buckle up, man. I like their logo.
Yeah, it's good. And I think in general, tournaments that allow smaller teams to get in on the action are an incredibly valuable thing. If you just have these really big money tournaments that are constantly dominated by the top 8, top 16 teams, even like the top 16 teams, that's a decent amount of teams that can basically crush out amateur teams pretty effectively. And if you run smaller tournaments like the Big Point Battle, especially when there are plenty of big money tournaments running at the same time, teams are less likely to be signing up for Big Point. But this means that the amateur teams really have a shot, and the best way to get experience is playing in tournaments. You can't get better if you're not playing in tournaments.
Right.
So I think overall, having it in the community is very valuable.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. That's one of the things. We got to be wary of our scene becoming stagnant. You need that mobility for the up-and-comers. Absolutely, for sure. So we'll keep an eye on it. It will be on Join Dota. Toby will be tweeting, I'm sure. You guys shouldn't have any problems finding out all the good stuff about Big Point Battle. Na'Vi going to take out Empire 2-1 in the Tech Labs Cup. Those finals were yesterday. Again, we were casting a fair portion yesterday. I did not get to catch any of these games. Did either of you gentlemen see anything from Tech Labs?
I saw the final.
The finals? Yeah.
I saw the bear, yeah.
How was it? Give me the lowdown. Break it down for us, Charlie.
The finals or the bear? I saw a bear and I was just like, what the I don't know. There's so many games going on, so I didn't see the finals. But I saw like game.
Is there a picture of the bear somewhere?
There's a picture of the bear.
If I Google Tech Labs bear, will it pop up? Oh, of course, it came up right away. Okay. No, this isn't it. Oh, yes, it is. So none of us got to see the matches. The bear was the highlight of everything.
I saw parts of the matches. If I remember correctly, Na'Vi looked very strong.
So this is actually a bear. No, it's someone in a
Yes.
costume.
Oh yeah, no, it's a real bear.
It's a real bear? No, that's a real bear.
Yeah, they had the bear handing the prizes to Puppy.
That's
It's
a
pretty
bear
great.
handler. Puppy's face is just like, is that a real bear?
I have to wonder. I mean, why would you bring a bear when Admiral Bulldog's not there? That's my question.
How do you train a bear to hold a thing like that?
Uh, I'm not sure anyone really wants to know.
I can't help but feel like Puppy is feeling in this picture. Just why? I don't know what to do here. I'm just gonna stand here with my hands in my pockets and wonder what is happening.
Like, there is a bear. It is going to give me a prize.
Oh
It
man.
looks pretty sad, to be honest. It's just like,
I mean, there's no way that bear is enjoying its life. It's like this
There
is-
are some trained animals who are treated very, very well. I think bears are not really
yeah.
the ones that are usually treated well.
I think that bear is just thinking I should be pooping in the woods right now, and instead I gotta. Puppy touches it too. This is really. It's way too intense, man. We're never gonna top that production value. I think we should just give up now. There's no. That sets the bar. That raises the bar, man. He should have gotten the bear.
You got to have a bear at every stage now. How are you
Bear
gonna keep up with that? Valve needs to have like 5 bears at the international.
We need a live animal at every tournament now. What are they gonna have at Columbus? Can we get like a hawk or something cool? Maybe get some carrier pigeons, some doves, throw them into the audience. Like I don't know, something cool. I could just picture like someone coming out on stage, like Sundance comes out to make the opening statement in a trench coat, and he opens it and like 50 birds just fly out from under his garments. That could be awesome. MLG,
no.
you heard it here first. Oh man. So all right, well anyway, Navi did win. They took home a nice 12,000, I think 12,500 was the first place prize, so not a bad payout. Pretty exciting. Check the VODs. Like I said, I didn't get to catch it. How could this be an episode without Dire Tide being mentioned? Invictus Gaming, our good buddies, we saw them on the client taking the #1 time. They got 6 Platinum Roshans, those lucky dogs, and they're going to keep at it. The pros, what was the comment we made? Why would the pros possibly need to do Dire Tide? I think we talked about it a little bit yesterday, Chris, but I just wanted to mention that pro gamers taking Dire Tide seriously. Competitive Dire Tide lives on, Charlie.
Oh my god.
fuck Dire Tide.
You know why they did that? Because they knew they could make easy money playing it like 3 times and getting it right. It's not hard for them. They're coordinated.
They're
They
pro
stack up
gamers.
to 10. They get a crap ton of money, and then they're just like, haha, suck it. We have a ton of money in unique items, and you don't because
Yeah.
you guys are all incompetent. It's Dire Tide. It's not
Dire
actually
Tide.
hard. It's just dumb.
Get the pro circuit on there. You never know. It's exciting. Pit Lord is coming, and I got excited at first because I saw the screenshot. And I was like, "Oh my god, yes! We get to see what Pit Lord looks like." And then I saw the tweets following up with LD saying, "That's not what I was expecting him to look like." And Cyborg Matt said, "Oh, that's just a placeholder." Look, it's one of Undying Zombies. So this screenshot actually not nearly as exciting as I initially thought it was when I put it in the notes. That's just a giant tomb zombie. But one of the things that I took away from this is Pit Lord's name. He's not going to be Pit Lord because, of course, the copyright issues. He's going to be the Abyssal Underlord. What a title. What is
He's
that
going to be
even?
the Abyssal Underlord, and then the Hellfire Underlord, and then the Hellfire Underking, and then Hellfire Ruler, and there's going to be a million name changes, and it's going to be OD all over again.
OD. OD. I'm excited to see Pit Lord, though. An interesting hero nonetheless. No
Oh,
ETA or anything.
She was
but,
amazing.
Yeah. I know how much you like him. I know every time we have the opportunity, you like to bring up Pit Lord, so I figured we'd mention it for the sanity of Hippie.
So cool.
Yeah. So, all right, we had 2 big points left here for the beginning of Dota Radio Morning Show episode number 13. Part 1, NPL, still having some more issues. And I wanted to comment on this mostly because we were on the brunt of it yesterday. When I loaded up the pre-show, that was the first thing folks were asking us about. As you all know, Chris and I have been doing coverage for NPL on the Zyori TV channel, sort of unofficial coverage, just, here as the second choice. Yesterday, we became the first choice. There was an issue where their streamer was on some sort of a computer that wasn't his primary streaming PC. It didn't work, so he had to turn off the stream. They brought somebody else in. His computer exploded, and then they brought in Blaze to clean it up. The stream was going on and off and on and off. And we were just kind of doing our thing. Chris, I think there is some sort of a cartoon or some cliche that I'm picturing in my head, and I don't know what it's called, of us just being that kind of like, so, you ready to stream? Okay, we just turn on the stream. Okay, let's wait for the lobby. And then 15 minutes later, we've got 10,000 viewers. Everybody's screaming and yelling. Skype's blowing up. I don't know what happened. I don't know where it came from. We totally weren't ready for it. But we almost broke the 10,000 viewer mark yesterday doing NPL coverage. Very exciting indeed. The tournament is still going on. There was supposed to be coverage today. More scheduling issues, and I don't think there are actually any matches coming up today. I still haven't gotten confirmation one way or another, but it's not looking good. I don't know. Any thoughts about the chaos that ensued yesterday, Chris? Opportunities to come?
You know, it's something that very occasionally will happen, and it's nice to have something to fall back on if there are catastrophic computer problems. I don't think any of us here or in the chat can say, oh, my computer literally never has any issues, especially when you're taxing it with something like streaming, which is pretty darn hard on your processor, especially if you're not top of the line, if you don't have, a whole lot of processor speed. Piping 720 or 1080 video is pretty nasty at times. Mm-hmm. So, these things can happen. They did their best to fix it. They got it done, but hey, I mean, the combination of things, kind of the perfect storm. We had Sama on, and so of course everybody wanted to come watch Sama play. So we got the viewers, and it was pretty awesome. I'd like to thank anyone who's in here right now and anyone who listens to to this later in podcast form. Thanks for checking us out. We appreciate it. We do this stuff all the time. We love your viewership.
Sometimes it's good to be in the right place at the right time, although I have to admit, of all the times to be under the spotlight, yesterday was like the worst for me. I was doing a hangover cast, and it was not good. I was just really off the ball. I was listening to the VODs this morning, and terrible. Bad stuff. But it was fun nonetheless. We'll be continuing to cover NPL up until Columbus. Obviously, we'll be out of commission starting on Thursday. My flight leaves bright and early Thursday morning, so we'll try to cover some more NPL stuff coming up before then. Last big point we want to talk about here, and this is actually a big one. This is our primary talking point. Hitbox, our old buddies there. Some of you may remember back to this second episode of the Dota Radio Morning Show where we had the community manager, Danson is his handle, was a guest to talk about Hitbox TV, all the stuff that they do. The new streaming platform, and here I'll pull it up for you guys on the old screen cap there. It's just an alternative to Twitch, another gaming platform. They're doing their Live It Up challenge, 3,500 euros for first place for the most popular streamer after their 10-week challenge. So it's pretty interesting. They're really trying to break in here and take the place of kind of what Own3D was doing for a while. Oh, look, my buddy Kiori, #1 here in terms of unique viewers. Look at that. I've worked with him quite a bit. Small world indeed. So it's pretty exciting, but recently they've been under heavy fire. I think this is it here. Yep. PSA, Hitbox.tv essentially Own3D. Basically, someone did some digging and found out that there are some staffers in common. The current CEO of Hitbox TV was the CFO of Own3D. And this has ensued chaos because if some of us think back and recall, Own3D was the alternate streaming platform to Twitch TV, or really Justin TV back in the day before Twitch was a thing. They were the gamers' platform. Their service was kind of crappy. And they filed bankruptcy, and they owed a lot of people a lot of money. And, of course, when you file bankruptcy, all those legacy costs, all of those contracts go kaput, and you don't owe that money anymore. And I know Destiny was one of the big ones. I think he was owed like 20,000, something like that. And Join Dota was one of the Own3Ds. I think Toby probably is owed a fair sum. A little bit scary. I guess we knew. I feel like on the second episode we mentioned that there were a couple people in common, some of the staffers, but it is a totally different array of people. There are not many in common. And I did actually reach out to Dan this morning to see if I could get a statement or a comment. And he sort of said, oh, I'm kind of busy. I don't think I'll be able to come on to make a comment today. But I have to say, I really like these Hitbox guys. What they will be doing is they're going to make a detailed blog post explaining everything. And they're going to do an AMA on Reddit coming up very soon. I don't know when. If it's not today, it'll be within the next few days to tackle any questions the community has to sort of do some damage control here, because I think this is a classic case of some information breaking on Reddit, and then horde mentality kicks in, and everyone goes, oh no, fuck Hitbox, they are Own3D, and you're going to get screwed out of money. And I just want to say, I don't think that's completely accurate. I don't know. We'll see. I did get some inside scoop, and I don't want to say too much here. Oh, okay. Dan actually just sent me a message. He's probably listening. So here it is. This is the actual blog post that they wrote. I haven't read it because it just got posted like not that long ago. So here are some of the details, and it talks about doing the AMA, and I'll link it in chat for you guys here. So just be wary of that horde mentality. I have to be honest. Sorry, I'll ask Dan if he's free to pop on for a second. So just be wary, guys. It is a little bit scary, though, that filing bankruptcy thing. A lot of people seem to misunderstand exactly how that whole thing works, from what I read on the Reddit thread, in terms of, like, it's... What's the right way to explain this? It's not as malicious as it seems. Own3D's plan was not, okay, let's build a platform, let's get some big streamers on here, promise them a lot of money, and then file bankruptcy so we don't have to pay it. That was never the intention. Bankruptcy is that, like, final, like, we don't have enough money to pay these bills, so what do? You file bankruptcy, your company ends, and that's it. That's a very needed mechanism in real-world business, because if you don't have that ability for people to say, we tried, it didn't work, let's throw in the towel and you know, dissolve this company. If you don't have that, you get rid of the incentive for people to innovate, for people to take risks with business. And that's a scary precedent. You need some sort of a mechanism where people can, you know, have the opportunity to experiment and try something different, and if it doesn't work, not be ruined financially for the rest of their lives in terms of ruining your personal credit rating versus a company's credit rating, that kind of stuff. So it's very unfortunate. A lot of people did get screwed out of a lot of money, which really sucks. But you can't look at that CFO and say, well, the same thing's going to happen with Hitbox. It's apples and oranges. It's just not the same thing. It could happen again. I'm not saying it won't, but I don't know. Anybody want to chime in on this?
Well, just in general, I think you hit the nail on the head. If you think about business from, you know, any standpoint, I know you actually have a business degree. I don't, but I look at, you know, the economic world, and not every business is successful. Mm-hmm. You know, there are people who close down, there are people who go away, and if you get to the point where there's no safety net whatsoever, and you say, all right, well, if you go into business and you screw up, then you're basically in debt for the rest of your life and you're screwed. No one's going to want to go into business.
Right.
So,
Yeah. It's true, and it's a weird balance because it is abusable. You know, there are companies that do it maliciously. They start a company based on some very shaky premise, and they know, well, okay, we can rack up all this debt because in the end we can file bankruptcy, we can make a new company, and we can just rinse and repeat this process. People do that, and that is a very real problem with the way bankruptcy works in our modern age. But it's one of those things. It's bad either way. There's no end all be all of positivity. So it's unfortunate. I'm glad the Hitbox folks are being proactive, and I think doing an AMA is good. Could backfire. Who was it? Didn't a big bank just do an AMA that they pulled the plug on because it was so terrible? Was it JP Morgan, I think, did it last weekend? I saw people tweeting about it, and some of the tweets that people sent were just so terrible that they said, you know what? This is ending up to be really bad PR. We're not going to do it. So AMAs can be a little bit... it takes some balls to say, you know what, we'll do an AMA, and we will answer all of your questions. We will make you feel good. So I got to give them some credit for stepping up and being brave. Is that a good word? Bravery?
I mean, yeah, having a little bit of courage right there.
Yeah,
I mean, subjecting yourself to the judgment of Reddit is a dangerous thing, man, because it's such a big community. And I mean, I hang out on Reddit. I like Reddit, but I don't like the mob mentality that really comes along.
Yeah.
And it's something that I think can be terrifying to anyone who wants to do something like an AMA. So yeah, it definitely takes some courage to get on there and do that. And because you are largely submitting yourself to the judgment of the internet when you do that, because if there's like a really high-profile question that you flub, or you can't get the answer to properly, or you don't want to answer it, and then, you know, it gets uploaded, everyone's like, why aren't you answering? Rah, 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 pitchforks.
Right.
It's what happens.
Yeah, and this is one of these situations where I know more information than I'm allowed to say publicly because it hasn't been posted yet. So I just... What I'll say is just be wary, guys, of the horde mentality. It's probably not as bad as everyone thinks it is. The CFO, I see what a lot of people are saying, you know, the CFO, they had financial problems, this and that. From my understanding, that individual came into the Own3D project relatively late. He wasn't one of the founders, that CFO that is now the CEO. He was sort of came in after shit had already been hitting the fan and, you know, tried to get things going in the right direction. Not necessarily the guy that caused all of the financial ruin that happened in Owned 3D. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's not a black and white kind of thing. And if you're curious, if you're mad, if you want to know what's going on, check out that blog. It's been posted a couple of times in the chat here, and there will be an AMA coming. So Charlie, do you want to chime in on this topic before we go to part 2 and bring on Bone 7?
No, I'm good. I guess we'll just see. Good luck to Hitbox TV.
Good luck. Have fun. We'll see. Maybe they'll have somebody pop on. Maybe Dan will stop by again in future episodes after the AMA, and we'll go from there. So, all right, guys, stay tuned. We're gonna have Bone 7 coming on next here for part 2 of the Dota Radio Morning Show, episode 13. Don't nobody go nowhere, because we'll be coming back here in just a minute.